All right, what's up, everybody? This is a show that's controlling YouTube right now. Straight Facts with Mr. T Money 1993, and I got some special guests on the show tonight. First, we're gonna go to my main man. My first. I used to think he was a Panthers troll, but I just figured out, he doesn't always have high hopes for the team. My boy Alan Martin, what's up?
What's up, guys? It's Panther Beast OS on Twitter. Love and thank you for letting me be here again, man. I enjoy it when I come on.
Yeah. Next, we got my boy, fellow TTC member, even though he kind of fell off. My boy Kevin Thompson.
How y'all doing, man? This is Panthers Huddle. Nice to meet y'all, and nice to be on here again with Mr. T Money, the straight facts talker.
And then last but not least, my boy Tony from Cat Chronicles. Another kind of downer as a Panthers fan. What's up?
No. That's a terrible introduction to the podcast. Yes, this is Tony Dunn from Carolina Cat Chronicles, a.k.a. the Professor. Glad to be here. Another Monday night. Another exciting one. What is that, 5 straight, fellas?
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of that, man, I mean, I think we only second to the New England Patriots in these late season victories, man. How about that?
Yeah, we
Last 4 years?
I think we got 13 wins, and they got maybe 15, I think, or whatever it is. We're not too far back.
That's pretty impressive, man. Late in the season, man, that's when you're playing for playoff contention. And that's when everybody's playing hurt. That's the hardest time of the year to play. And the Panthers are doing it. They're doing it, man.
I agree with that, and that lets you know also that the players play for Ron. Because even the first 2 years, when we struggled for most of the season, they would make sure they had to do what they had to do to make sure Ron still had momentum going into the next year. He kept his job, that type of thing. And as far as Tony, man, don't be acting like you don't know how to do the intros. You know I give y'all a hard time on the intros.
Yeah, it was rough sledding there for a little while, and every time we said anything bad about it, you get that, we always heard it. But it's nice we stuck through it, though. We stuck through it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, this season's been crazy, man. I mean, Cam Newton ankle surgery, missed most of the training camp, didn't get to mesh with his new receivers. Then you had cracked ribs in the preseason. You had Mike Tolbert, a huge part of our offense, go down, didn't come back till November. Franchise tag Greg Hardy. He sat on his ass. I think he played in one game. He made close to $14 million. He made $48,000 in a playoff game that he didn't even play in. Then you had Frank Alexander, who was going to replace Greg Hardy with, suspended twice for the same thing. Cam, again, the car wreck, two broken bones in it, two fractures in his back. I mean, this season has just been crazy. Then Ron Rivera's house done burned down, man. Ron Rivera's house done burned down, bro.
Caught fire in the middle of the night. I think they were like, what do you think? How do you have a fire in the middle of the night? You know what that is. That's some kids up to some no good trouble.
Either that or he still live on the West Coast? His house still on the West Coast, ain't it?
Nah, it was his house in Charlotte.
I think he just lives too close to that dumpster fire that is the NFC South, man. I think, some of them embers might have drifted on a midnight breeze or something, you know what I'm saying?
My man tried to say that fire got inside the walls. They ran the fireplace too long.
Man, it might have been somebody in there trying to be a Russell Wilson fan in there.
Well, let's hope that lights a fire under Ron Rivera and his team come Saturday night against the Seahawks. And let's go out there and beat them. That's what we needed. True fire.
Yeah.
It's kind of pissed me off, man, is everybody that's been debating, and I'm sure you guys seen it all over social media too, everybody. Well, which team would you rather the Carolina Panthers play next? Which would you rather see them play next? It doesn't matter who you play next because this is the playoffs. Anybody we play at this point is going to be a tough game. But I will say, I like certain things about playing Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers playing hurt, plus, it's going to be frigid cold, even frozen tundra. Our physical defense, the hits we could have laid on him would have been intensified. He would have felt them even more. But you look at the Seattle Seahawks, we match up well with them. We held Marshawn Lynch to some pretty good yardage every time we played them. The defense matches up well with their offense. I just feel like it didn't matter who we played. I feel like if the Carolina Panthers would play to their potential, they could have beaten either team. You know, something else, man. I mean, I'm sure you guys been seeing it too. You know, Steve Smith's still in the race. Steve Smith's still in the race. Agent 89 still in the playoffs. Everybody's still rooting for Steve Smith. How the hell you gonna root for Steve Smith? You know, go get a ring. You still got your Panthers in the race. I mean, that don't make no sense, right?
I see you getting mad about that. I mean, did you comment on somebody's video or something?
Yeah, man.
I remember seeing that the other day, and I was like, uh-oh, somebody got Kevin. I'm excited, man. But
man, this dude is like the bitter ex-girlfriend, man. I mean, I get it, and I feel bad about the way it was handled, but I'm a Panther fan first. I was a Panther fan before Steve Smith. I'm a Panther fan after Steve Smith. You know, all the stuff that he's taught this whole season, though, man. I mean, telling our players to go home, mow the grass, and make sure it's, you know, kept up nice, like we're his personal groundkeeper, and all this other stuff that we've had to listen to this man say. I could really care less, man. I hope the Patriots do the damn thing.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold nothing against Smitty because, I mean, most of what they go through, I look at it in a real life situation. If you got fired from a job and you got hired by another company that does the same thing, and you outdid the company you was with, you would want to rub it in their face. The difference is they on a football field. So for me, that wasn't nothing that I was just like, that's Smitty being Smitty. I wasn't mad about it. But I'm not gonna root for Baltimore neither.
Nah.
I mean, I would love for them to get New England out because I still hate New England always from that Super Bowl.
I'm not going to make any Super Bowl predictions, T-Money, but what if it's a rematch between the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots? Don't you know the NFL would just on fire, man? Everybody would be tuning in.
We would have to see Brandon LaFell block every Panther fan on Twitter for that to happen. He already started after the game.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather if it would come to Super Bowl prediction, I'd rather see us go against Steve Smith one more time to prove him that we're a good team with or without him. I want to see it Ravens versus Panthers in the Super Bowl. That's what I would really, really love to see next month if we do make it there. That'd be very interesting. Steve Smith against us in that Super Bowl matchup. That'd be very interesting for this team.
But before we get
that would look good too, man. I mean, them Ravens, man, on their social media, they've been making all these videos. Steve Smith making all those beautiful catches in the preseason. But you ain't showing us nothing we ain't already seen. We know the dude can play. We've seen him make them catches for 13 years. And the Ravens act like they found a diamond in the rough. Nah, but I agree. I mean, that would be a good game.
Let's get off the Ravens, though, and focus on our Carolina Panthers, man. Let's talk about that win in Arizona and that dominating defense. A defense that held the Cardinals to the lowest yards in NFL playoff history. A great performance, in my opinion. A lot of people were saying, hey, you played Ryan Lindley, you played a beat-up Cardinals team. But that was the same people that was just bragging on Lindley. Oh, he threw 300 yards against the 49ers. He had a couple touchdowns. So I feel like you have to give credit to where our defense is due, man. They played their ass off, and Lindley doesn't control the run game. They ran for 27 yards as a team on 15 attempts. That's not even average.
It's kind of hard to run the ball, T-Money, when you got Thomas Davis going in there blowing you up for negative yards, ain't it?
Yeah, Thomas Davis played his tail off. And Luke Kuechly, did he not show why he has a defensive MVP in the bag, man?
Luke Kuechly during the national anthem. I swear that boy must have blinked like one time, man. He had his warrior face on.
Yeah, he had 10 tackles, an interception, and he had that pass deflection that led to the Trey Boston interception. He showed why he's the best middle linebacker in the game. I know a lot of people want to put them 49ers boys up there with Willis and Bowman, but Luke is just he's on another level. His impact on the game, anytime you need a big play, you know it's coming from Luke or Thomas Davis is going to make the play that you need to win games.
Why has Thomas Davis not made it to a Pro Bowl?
Because the NFL hasn't figured out they needed to divide 3-4 outside linebackers and 4-3 outside linebackers into two separate categories.
I mean, isn't Thomas Davis like riding Luke Kuechly's coattail in tackles right now?
I don't know. I mean, they're both pretty high, but it's not like Davis is top 5 in the league or anything. But he's never going to make it because you have guys who play the 3-4 outside who's just getting sacks. Guys who's getting 10, 12 sacks. Thomas Davis isn't going to do that because he's not asked to in our defense. You know the fans, they go for most fans are stats people. They look at whatever stats is on Google or ESPN, and that's who they're voting for. Or whoever made the Sports Center top 10 plays is who they're going to vote for when it's Pro Bowl time. Thomas Davis is a great player, but again, I think he makes it if you divide up 3-4 outside linebackers and 4-3 outside linebackers. Same thing happens to Levante David because he's a great linebacker for Tampa, but he never makes it because of that.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying, T-Money, about the Arizona game, man, it doesn't matter who we played against. The quarterback's still just one man on the field. And he's still an NFL caliber quarterback. That boy could probably start for some other team. He's still an NFL caliber quarterback. And what our defense did should not be overshadowed by the fact that they've gone through injuries. Dude, this is January, man. Everybody's gone through injuries. Everybody. And we got Panther players that are playing hurt, and they'll tell you they're playing hurt. Not our fault that we're playing Lindley, and still, I think it takes a little bit away from what our defense did. And
Tony, you think it was totally Lindley is the reason why we did that, or do you think our defense was still dominating at the same time?
Well, I do think there is something to be said about that. This wasn't the best offense on the field out there. They hadn't scored a touchdown in like 24 quarters at one point. So they've struggled. But at the same time, I agree that, this is an NFL team with a coach that's potentially going to get Coach of the Year, likely to get Coach of the Year. And you've got some real legitimate weapons on the outside. Yes, Larry Fitzgerald is aging, but Malcolm Floyd, he seems to be a pretty solid receiver. You got the Brown kid. You would think that here's the idea that I'm going after, is that if it was just them being bad, then they would have gotten a little bit more. But it was so smothering, the defense. There was nothing there anywhere. And had it not been for Cam Newton's interception that was returned all the way to the 20 or whatever it was, those guys would have had like 0 points. It was I've never seen a defensive effort that good by the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if I think they look better than last year. But I do think there's some important differences, too, about this defense. And one, I think that Luke Kuechly has emerged to become the best linebacker in the NFL. And, he's a third-year guy. So that's where the power of this defense is coming, is from the center. But also those cornerbacks played remarkably well. Bené Benwickery, Trey Boston, Josh Norman, these guys have stepped up and given our defensive line a second life. And Charles Johnson, man, what a man possessed he played like. So you got to be excited about that. But I'll just say this. The Arizona Cardinals are certainly not Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers or Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks.
I agree. Alan, let me ask you this. Do you think our secondary at this point right now is better than the secondary we had last year?
Yes, I do believe, because I've seen so much improvement out of Josh Norman this year ever since he's gotten out of the doghouse, the Ron Rivera's doghouse, and got back on the field as a starter. He has played just lights out with this front seven. And Ben Wickery, as a starter now, he is playing lights out as well, out of his mind. Just in the last 4 or 5 weeks now, you can see how these receivers like Julio Jones and Fitzgerald and McFloyd, they're just being shut down pretty much. in the secondary. We're not allowing them to get anywhere near 100 yards receiving at all over the past couple weeks. And I think Trey Boston has really stepped up in the past few weeks or so with these last 2 interceptions, the last 2 games. And I truly believe this is the secondary of the future of the Panthers. But the Carolina Panthers, even though this is looking ahead and stuff, they really need to lock up Norman long term in off season, because if they don't, we could be leaving one of the probably best players we've had in a long time, and that secondary is going to be good for us. But for right now, I think we're a good secondary. We're ready to roll next week, this coming Saturday, and then I think we could improve in the secondary for the off season by getting safety and stuff like that with Trey Boston and stuff like that. Because Roman Harper is old as the hill. We do need to improve in that area right there. But other than that, our secondary is very strong right now, and it's a lot better than last year's secondary. I can put that to you that much.
Yeah, I think it's more of the size and the speed of the defense. Because yes, Captain Mudlin he did a pretty good job as a corner last year, but nobody really wants their number 1 corner to be 5'8". And Cap, he's not that athletic to me. He's not really that fast. Like, he doesn't have incredible speed. He doesn't have incredible jumping ability or anything like that to me.
But if Cap gets his hand on the ball, he's probably going to intercept it, and he's probably going to bring it back.
I mean, but he had, what, 4 interceptions, 5 interceptions, in how many years was he a Panther?
Like 5 years, I believe, as a Panther. 5.
I think here's the difference you can see between the secondary this year and the secondary last year is that we have shifted to. It starts with Josh Norman being able to take on the number 1 receiver of a team, and we didn't have a guy last year that could do that. And then you throw in Benet, and what we've seen is I'm not an X's and O's guy, so maybe you guys can help me out with this part. But I feel like I've seen more man defense in the last 2 or 3 weeks than I've seen in maybe all last season. And we so stick to zone and nickel, which is our strength and what you want to do. I'm not saying that we should get away from that, but you do need the ability to mix it up some. And I feel like that the athleticism and the improvements have showed there. Maybe they're not better, but they are certainly playing great right now.
Yeah, I agree with that we're mixing coverages a little bit more. Really, last year, we didn't run man until, like, maybe the very, very end of the year is when we started running a little bit more man. So we blitzed a little bit more. But I see a lot more of us either blitzing either one of the linebackers, whether it's Thomas or Luke, in the A gap, and we playing a little bit more man. Or sometimes playing 2-man under with the corners matching up with the wide receivers and maybe the safety sitting over the top. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think with these guys we can mix a little bit more of the coverage up, because you don't have to worry about if you put, say, Captain Mudlin or Melvin White one-on-one with a good receiver, they're going to get burnt.
Or even a number 2.
Yeah, I agree. And even when we do run...
I think Melvin White gets a lot of flack that he don't really deserve, man. I mean, look at Melvin White, what he did last year. And I understand last year our pass rush was better. But Melvin White doing what he did last year, I really expected that this year he was just going to be even better. But we haven't really seen too much of him. But he did come up for us in a big way last night when he knocked the shit out of Ted Ginn Jr. and got us a little gift there. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was nice to see him celebrating.
But
go ahead, Alan.
But as Gibbon said, Mel White, he was good last year, and like he said, that was probably more the product of the pass rush from Greg Hardy and Charles Johnson in that front 7 or front 4. But this year it seems that White has regressed to being just just right at average or below average cornerback for us, and he proven that he can't be a starter. He can be a backup, come in when needed on certain situations and stuff to do what he needs to do on special teams and stuff like that. But I don't really think he'll never ever be a true starter for this team ever again. As long as you got Ben Wickery and Josh Norman playing the way they are, you will never see him starting on that field again unless it's a nickel situation or something like that. You know, he's regressed quite a bit from last year, and I think he was just mainly as like Mitchell and the rest of them was just a product of the pass rush we had last year.
I want to ask Money something about this secondary. Is that if Norman is having his coming out party, and Benet is showing that he can be that he's got that he's got so much promise ahead of him, what position in the secondary should we or could we draft to make this maybe in the same conversation as good as like Seattle or something? Would it be another safety or would it be a corner?
I know most people would probably say strong safety because I know we have a lot of downers of Roman Harper, but I wouldn't go with that. I would personally go with a nickel corner. They can be a smaller guy, but just a real fast nickel corner because like I'm so tired of
Barrett, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm really tired of us having to play safeties at nickel corner because right now our nickel corner is Colin Jones. And Colin Jones can be beat. We've seen that a couple times, even though the secondary has been playing better. He can be beat. And Melvin White can't do it because Melvin White isn't fast enough to guard slot receivers. So I would like to
big, man.
I would like to draft maybe a guy who's around 5'11", 6 foot, who has a real fast 40 time to play nickel corner. I think you can get maybe one more year out of Rome.
Well, I got to say this is that
another year out of Roman?
The way he's playing right now, why wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know. I would say I need to apologize to Roman Harper personally. I was so all over Roman Harper, just talking about how he was old bones all year and how he couldn't do what he was supposed to do, and that's tackle and all of this, but everything we've heard coming out of the Panthers locker room has talked just so highly of Roman Harper and how important he has been to mentoring these younger guys, particularly Ben Wickery. So, maybe there's a lot going on there that we didn't see.
Yeah, watching the film, he's in the spot a lot of the times, and what people would see as, hey, that's Roman giving up something, Roman would come fill in the box like he was supposed to. But because we weren't getting the same amount of push from the defensive line, from the defensive tackles, people could cut back and exploit those lanes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is more so than I think. It was rare that I saw Rome be in bad position. I mean, sometimes he would take bad angles. But that's just
and miss he had problem tackling early in the season, but maybe everything was so bad at one point, it was easy to pick on him, and I did.
And again, the backs that we was looking at him play, I mean, Le'Veon Bell, Giovanni Bernard, that's like some of the top running backs in the game right now. A lot of people are having problems with them. I mean, Le'Veon Bell had what, 2,000 yards from scrimmage?
Oh, yeah, he's a beast. Best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, so...
Who's going into next week a little bit afraid of our special teams, man? I'm afraid.
Everybody on the planet?
Tony, what about
needs to go, man? Goldilocks needs to go, bro. Goldilocks needs out.
Tony, how long have I been saying we need to get rid of Burson?
The whole season. But the problem is there ain't nobody to replace him. Not a single person.
I would rather have Fozzie on
Whitaker, man. I put Fozzie on it, man.
Now I would like to have Fozzie. I wouldn't mind Fozzie, but Fozzie's never returned a punt. So I mean, why is that? Why?
Can he do any worse?
I saw him take him in practice. No, he can't do any worse. The only thing that I could think of is that he's so small they're worried that he might get killed.
But we put Philly Brown back there.
He's just as bad as Burson. On special teams. On special teams, let me caveat that, is that neither of them are good. It's been our Achilles heel for our whole and our entire organizational history has been crappy special teams.
I mean, I'm not saying
And that's
put
why
Philly
going
back there.
into
What I would say, if you want to talk about Fozzie's size, it's not like Philly Brown's a big dude either, and you
Right.
tried to put him back there.
Fozzie don't look too small to me. I mean, you look at what Fozzie's done this whole season, man. We wouldn't be where we're sitting at right now without Fozzie Whitaker. I mean, that boy
Yeah.
I mean, Fozzie's had
has
a
a
big
place in the
play
Carolina
the
Panthers
past 2
stable, in my
games.
opinion.
I was fortunate to be at training camp right when we signed him, because he came in right at the end of camp, and I got there in the last week and watched a couple. I was there for 2 days, and you gotta like what you see from him is that he brings an explosiveness that I feel like that is Giovanni Bernard type style, and so, and maybe that's not the best comparison. But what I'm trying to say is I could foresee Fozzie being on the team going forward in an important role.
I could see
Giovanni.
him sitting behind Jim Skipper. Honestly, I could see him in a starting role. You know, I mean, Jim Skipper's got a good resume when it comes to running backs, bro.
Yeah, I agree there with Kevin. All season I've been giving praises and props to Whitner and I've been just wondering when they were using Tolbert on 2nd and 7 and he get 1 or 2 yards during the game, and I'm just scratching my head and wonder why when Stewart's resting and Tolbert sits here 1 or 2 plays instead, it should be Fozzie on a 2nd and 7. They can hand the ball instead of Tolbert. Taking the ball for 1 or 2 yards, we could have maybe gained 4, 5, 6 yards, or maybe more. You know, because Fozzie's a more explosive type running back. When he gets the ball in his hand, he knows how to find the hole. He knows how to get those yards. He push for it. And I feel that he's a D-Will Stewart type running back. He sees the hole. He's got the power. He can get those extra yards just like Stewart, but he's also got the speed of D-Will. You know, and I just don't see why they're not using him a lot more instead of using Tolbert, because Tolbert can be used on maybe a 3rd and 1 situation. That's where his specialty is and stuff like that. You know, I criticized Tolbert the other day during the game that, you know, he's not got it no more. I mean, he proved me wrong when he got that touchdown late in the game against Cards Saturday afternoon. But, you know, overall, Whitner should be used a whole lot more. I feel he's going to be a future running back once D-Will is gone this offseason. If they decide to get rid of D'Angelo Williams, you know, and he's going to be the 2nd string running back, or depending on Stewart's health, he might be there as a starter beginning up next season. We don't know that yet, but I really want to see Whitner in a much more, you know, 2nd string, more carry next year type back, you know, and if he replaces D-Will in the offseason and stuff like that.
I think Fozzie, as far as your comparison, Tony, I would compare Fozzie more to a Darren Sproles type back.
Yeah, I think that's better.
As far as his ability to do damage in the screen game, I mean, that's what, his 2nd touchdown on the screen this year?
Yeah.
He had one last
39
game.
yards.
And then as far as his ability also in the run game. So as far as his, I just think he's more like Darren Sproles. And also as far as run production, did anybody else notice that he got in the game before D'Angelo?
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Were you surprised how little they used D'Angelo?
Not really.
I thought they would have put him in more.
I mean, Stewart was running well. We had 188 yards. And with D'Angelo, you kind of knew what the play was going to come because they already said that with his hand, he couldn't really pass protect like that. So you knew when he was coming in, it was to run the ball. So you're kind of tipping your hand, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was averaging 4 yards a carry. He ran, I think it was 4 times for 16 yards or something.
He ran okay. I thought that he was going to break one for a touchdown like what Fozzie did, because that's what D-Will always does to the haters, is he always breaks one for 70 when everybody's ready to give up on him.
Yeah. It's just, again, with the way Stewart is running, do you want to really take that many touches away from him?
No, not really.
No, not at all. I think you got to give him more.
And does anybody? Well, one thing that I was thinking about watching the game. Did anybody have a problem with the whole at the goal line running with Cam, considering he was already beat up at that point and limping around?
I truly, honestly, I truly did. I just don't see why you're going to sit there and risk your quarterback when you got guys like Tolbert and you guys got like Stewart and you got Whitner back there ready to run. Why risk your quarterback when he's being hurt so much this year, getting in a car wreck, ankle surgery, and cracked ribs? Why risk your quarterback when you're in the playoffs? You're trying to get to the Super Bowl. That's kind of dumb to be risking something like that. Some situations I understand, but they were just lining up there. They're respecting him. They did so quite a few times during that game that they stopped them on the option play and stuff because they were respecting and in the goal line they were respecting that too. Needn't get much. Why risk it? And when he's got them other running backs, use your running backs to get in the end zone, and that's what we ain't really done lately. During the season, and Tolbert. I mean, what we got Stewart and Tolbert for if they're not going to, really use them. They need to use them more than Cam because the man is just so beat up right now, and if he don't, he's not going to make it to the Super Bowl. And if we do get there, he's going to be so beat up when he's going to be no use to us.
When did that happen? What part of the game?
I think that was before the Tolbert touchdown. So fourth quarter, maybe.
My question, I want to know this: do you think though that is it just them calling Cam Newton or his number, or is this also, or is this Cam Newton calling his own number in that situation?
It definitely could have been Cam because Cam has made that decision. We remember that from the 49ers game when Cam took personal responsibility and he said, hey, I told them that I was going to get in. That's on me. So, yeah, it could have been a play call by Cam. But, again, at that situation, Cam was obviously limping. He was obviously in pain. I would have liked to see – because I think it might have been second down – or first down, I'd have liked to at least see Jonathan Stewart get a chance to run it in the way he's been running and the way he was running in that game.
I think we need to talk about Cam Newton too and his health and all of that.
I think that was a simple case. I don't think that was a long-term thing. I think it was he took that hit and it looked like old boy kind of twisted his ankle or put his weight on his ankle, and that is the one that was surgically repaired. So,
yeah,
I don't think that's like something that's going to affect him this game like that, unless he takes again another type of twisted other ankle like that, or a direct big hit on his ankle. Other than that, I think he'll be all right. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
I'd like to talk about Cam, man. Look, a lot of people talking about Cam and how Cam didn't play well, and I'm going to admit, no, Cam didn't play well. But you got to understand, Cam Newton is the type of athlete where the only thing Cam Newton cares about is winning, dude. That's all he cares about is winning. He takes accountability for his actions and his responsibilities on the field. He takes his position very seriously. And one thing, these players are just like us, man. They're on the social media. They see all the shit that everybody's talking about them. And all anybody had to say about Cam Newton going into this game was Cam Newton doesn't have a playoff win. Cam Newton don't have playoff wins. He ain't got no playoff wins. And Cam Newton finally got into the playoff, and he got himself a win. I think that is done and dealt with. I expect Cam Newton to come back this next game and be Superman Cam Newton. With this Seattle Seahawks game, Cam Newton is going to come back into form, boys. Believe that. The playoff game is done. He got his win. He got what everybody was talking about. Regardless of who he played against, he got that win. This is the old Cam Newton coming back. This is return to form Cam Newton coming back. I guarantee.
I like it.
I think people looked at the stats, and again, if you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't understand some of those turnovers. That Cotry play, that was on Cotry 100%. If Cotry keeps on running the route, he catches that pass, and he has a chance to get the first down on Cromartie. But for some reason, Cotry thought it was behind him. He looks away, looks behind him. Cromartie comes up and he snags the ball. Now, what I do not like and what has cost us a game, the first game in Seattle, is when Cam's taking that sack and he tries to throw that super late pass when he's going down, or he tries to throw a shuffle pass when he's going down and he turns the ball over.
He looked when he gets that "oh shit, what did I do" look on his face when the ball leaves his hand, and that happens a little too often.
Yeah, and I know a part of that is his competitive will to make a play, even when there's not always one there. But again, that can cost you games, especially in the playoffs. That can cost you games. He had that, like I said, he had that play earlier in the year against Seattle. Where he's going down, he tries to shuffle pass it, and they pick it off and go back the other way. And then he had that. What was the other game? He had another game besides Saturday recently where the ball got deflected.
He did it in the Seattle game, and he did it also in. It was like 2 weeks ago, maybe. Maybe it was Cleveland.
Yeah, it was Cleveland. He tried to, because a lineman dived and picked it off or whatever,
and his hand.
It got deflected by Dansby. I think sometimes he has to learn that when he's out of the pocket, he can just throw it out of bounds. He doesn't have to throw that.
I tell you what, too. I mean, a couple times Cardinals tried to rush 3 like they tried on us early in the season. This offensive line ain't made a Charmin Ultra Soft no more, man. That offensive line didn't budge. You're going to have to put more than 3 against our offensive line now. T-Money, what happened to our offensive line, man?
Making changes. A lot of people, love to pick on Byron Bell, but Byron Bell was playing hurt at the beginning of the year. Even when we played Seattle the first time, he was playing on pretty much one leg. Then you take out Nate Chandler. Nate Chandler's a tight end who tried to play defensive tackle, who tried to play guard, who's tried to play tackle. I mean, he knows
who ain't trying to play football no more, probably.
Yeah, and so you replace him with Mike Rimmers. You gave Trey Turner, a young guy, you started him at the beginning of the year, so now he has a little bit more experience. He can do a little bit more. And then Norwell, an undrafted guy at Ohio State, comes up and shows up big. And as we know, he's not the only undrafted guy we have from Ohio State. Philly Brown has been showing up, but that's what leads to my next part of the discussion. What if Philly Brown can't play? I think it obviously changed the way our offense worked, is what I'll say.
Just let me tell you what he tweeted. This is what he tweeted tonight, all right? He said, Philly Brown tweeted, "If I had a girlfriend right now, I would need her to take care of me." So what he was saying is my man's in pain right now. He's hurting. That shoulder, if he does play, is not going to be that good. One hit, and you can go ahead and see him out. I got a solution for it. Nobody's going to like it. I say bring in Stephen Hill.
Yeah,
I've been saying that. I've been saying that.
I know, but here's the thing: is everybody goes, no, nonsense. If you talk to Bill Voth from Black and Blue Review, if you talk to the people that are supposedly in the know with the Carolina Panthers, they're going to say, no way, he's a practice squad guy, he's not ready for this season. But if you guys remember, last year, I believe, who was the cat from Iowa State? That's Marvin McNutt. Came in against the San Francisco 49ers in the playoff game. It was either that or the Atlanta Falcons in Week 17, but I think it was the playoff game. And he got a shot. So why not do something similar, at least as a decoy, kind of?
Again, I don't understand whatsoever how Hill can be worse than Burson. Hill has more game experience. And even if you just wanted to stick him at punt returner and hope he can catch the punt return, he has a 4.3 speed, and he's what, 6'5"?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's huge.
And plus Hill, he's former first round. Yeah, that don't matter much because we have there's always a busted first round player and stuff. But I believe Hill would be no better than Burson and probably be an upgrade on the return if they would have decided to use him. But we don't want to risk Fielder Brown because Fielder Brown may be ready for the final NFC Championship game in a couple weeks. Why risk your top speed guy you got on the offense? You know, bringing Hill, upgrade, and put him in, let him do what he tries to do best. You know, use the speed in the slot position and outside. You know, give him a chance. Like I said, he's no better than Burson right now. You know, what's the risk? You ain't risking nothing. Just take a chance on him and see what he can do. He might surprise everybody out there in Panther Nation.
Because I ain't gonna lie, on Madden, I start Hill. I put Hill on one side, Benjamin on the other side, Philly in the slot, and Koch in the slot. And I'll be doing wonders. I just dropped 71 the other day on this Saints fan. So I think that will work, man. Even if you don't have to have him run complex routes. He's 6'5" with 4.3 speeds. Send him on a go route.
No, you just run him straight. Just run down, run forward, and you don't even have to throw him the ball. That's the other thing is that, but with we have zero speed, and this is, I do want to get back to Cam Newton for a second, and I'll relate it to this point, is that when people say that Cam Newton didn't play well or he played poorly, I think that's because they just want him to play like Aaron Rodgers and throw 5 touchdowns or something like that. Is that even though he didn't have his best game, and statistically he didn't throw up great, fantastic numbers, and he made 1 or 2 bonehead plays, he made a lot of critical plays in that game that kept us alive, where really it was a lot closer than the score indicated for a lot of that game. You know, you go into halftime, you're down by 1 point. You get a couple of times. That 3rd and 9 run that he made was a game-changer. And so here's another thing is that you look at the receivers, you're going against very good corners with the Arizona Cardinals. You got Patrick Peterson, you got Antonio Cromartie, and then there's another kid that's real good too. I forget his name, who is a second-year player. Is it the Honey Badger?
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu.
And what you get is there was zero separation from the receiver and the defense throughout most of that game. If you actually looked at the receiver and when Cam threw that ball to Olsen that he bobbled and caught, is that he put it in a window that was about this big, and that was the only place he could have put it. So in some ways, yes, Cam didn't play phenomenal, but you know what? He played well enough to win. He made some very important plays. And anybody, and people on Twitter have been saying this, people on the radio have been saying this, is that Derek Anderson would have beat him by more. I want those people to just please be careful for what you wish for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Cam Newton does things that Derek Anderson can't do. You know, in a lot of cases, Derek Anderson would have had to just throw the ball away, man. He would have just had to throw it away because there was nowhere to go. Cam Newton was able to make those plays with his feet. Derek Anderson can't do that. It's funny to laugh at him in the preseason when he does it, but when the game's on the line, you're in the playoffs, I don't want Derek Anderson running. I don't.
But with Cam, I think, yeah, he did miss on a couple of throws. He missed Dixon a couple of times to where when Dixon was on the sideline. But it's not like, we saying that, but it's not like Dixon wasn't dropping passes at the same time in that game.
And it wasn't like, and also, it's not like he didn't put up points. You know,
yeah, we scored, 27?
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah, it could have been more. We could have beat them 56-6, but I don't think it was as bad as people wanted to make out.
Yeah, I agree. But, again, Cam is not one of those quarterbacks that's going to have, like you said, that Aaron Rodgers stat line. For him and Russell Wilson, if they can have a good game for them is like 250, around 60 to 80 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, maybe 2 passing touchdowns. That's a good Cam Newton, Russell Wilson type of game.
That's what you want.
Yeah. I mean, look at the times Cam has thrown for over 300. Have we won any of those games?
No, not in fact. Go back to his rookie season when he put up all those great numbers. Is the one thing we weren't able to put up was wins.
Yeah, if Cam is scoring, if he's getting 300, 400 yards, that normally means either we're losing or we're just in a total shootout and we're still gonna probably end up losing.
Just look at this. We rushed the ball 41 times in that game, dude. That's legit right there. We threw the ball 32 times and we rushed 41. If you see those numbers from Carolina, good things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mixing the playbook.
But we want in our offense, we want more runs than passes. Of course, that means we control the tempo. That means we control the pace of the game. That's a Carolina Panthers game.
Yeah, I think we held the ball for like 37 minutes or something like that.
I mean, I believe it. We had I think it was 188 rushing yards, whatever it was. It was a high number.
And I mean, that's like, I know I was talking last time I was on here, about Mike Shula's offensive style. Like, I'm still not bought in on Shula either, guys. But I mean, when it works, and it works well. You hold the ball. You demoralize the other team. We've got a big physical defense. It comes out, gets the ball back, puts the ball right back in our hands, and then we just drive and drive and drive and drive. And then boys just sit on the bench and cry in their hands. And then they're going to go home and they're going to cry in their pillow because the Panthers are going to beat them every time.
And I think the biggest thing about Shula's playbook is that it counts so much on us doing everything perfect. Us putting ourselves in those perfect situations where we're running the ball on first and second down and we're getting the yards and we get it down to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. You know what I'm saying? It's not built for if we're not doing what we're supposed to do well. It's not gonna succeed like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have those playbooks that if it's 3rd and 15 we can pull something out of nowhere in some kind of way we got the first down.
Here,
somebody said you're going to play conservative. You have to play conservative well. And that's the thing.
That's an excellent point. We happened to interview Bill Voth last week on the C3 podcast. He made an excellent point about this, is that when you play conservative like that, you have to play well. And this is what you do, is that when you have long drives, you limit your possessions, essentially. Is that throughout the game you're only going to get the ball 5 or 6 times. So and the other team's only going to get the ball 5 or 6 times. That's the hope. And if you go down there and you kick a field goal and then you get somebody like the Saints or somebody that can just come right back and score a touchdown, you had a 7-minute drive where you dominated the other team and you only got 3 points. So that is the key, is that there's not going to be enough possessions coming back for you to not score touchdowns. So when it works, it does work. The whole thing is, and if you look at the games, the last 3 matches against Seattle, is they do the same exact thing. And you look at it, you got 12-9, you got 13-7, you got whatever, 12. They're all within 5 points. But you all look at it, and every time we drive the ball 80 yards, D-Will fumbles. Drive the ball 80 yards, have to settle for a field goal. And then what do you know, Russell Wilson? They're fortunate by that point. They get one more play, and that one play scores a touchdown, and that breaks open the game. So you're right. You got to play conservative well.
I mean, because these past 3 games, you're right. It's always came down to that one play. This year it was the whole Cam shuffle pass thing that changed the game. Last year it was we're driving down the field for the game-winning touchdown, D'Angelo fumbles. And the year before, wasn't that, I think we had 4th and goal, maybe from the 5, and Cam rolls out and he throws it in the dirt, aiming at Greg Olsen. I think that's how we lost that game.
Yeah, and then 2 years in a row they hit they hit the tight end down the middle deep. And it all came down to the 4th quarter. When your defense is holding people, your offense has to give them a breather a little bit every now and then by scoring just a little bit. And Carolina has not scored a touchdown, I don't think, against Seattle. Maybe one in their last 3 matches, and one of them was a Captain Munnerlyn interception return for a touchdown.
And I believe, and I believe that for us to really have success against Seattle Saturday night is going to be the running game with Jonathan Stewart, Fozzie, and Tolbert. Because if we don't get in there and score the touchdowns, and like the last 3 games, we're going to end up losing because we can't score touchdowns. Against Seattle, you cannot go with field goals. Field goals will not do it. And we're going to have to really, really get into the end zone with them. And we've been struggling that for the last 3-4 games. These last couple games, the last 2 weeks not scoring in the red zone. We're going to need to use Stewart and the rest of our running backs a lot this game because I was kind of concerned when Shula went away from the running game during the Arizona game somewhat in the second quarter into the third, but he went back to it, and that what helped us get back on track and everything. And I think the running game has always been a staple of the Panthers system, whether it's John Fox or Ron Rivera. That's always been our strong suit for many years, and I believe that's going to be what's going to take for us to win on Sunday and help Cam out real much and give him the time in the pocket that he needs.
I would like to point out that we've had trouble getting in the red zone for like 4 years since Cam's rookie year.
And the only way we can fix that is get some receivers who can really go in there. KB is good; he's still raw talent. Yeah, but he still needs to develop his hands, to catch better. But we need a true top receiver that can go in there and score, and who's got good hands like the Antonio Brown of the Steelers. He's got great hands. We need a receiver like that. We need to draft somebody like that.
Does anybody
going? Greg Olsen, he's going to be double covered every time you get in that end zone most of the time because they know who they're going to. And KB's just not got where he can jump up and use his body to grab that ball and to get a touchdown. He's not that far into his development. He's still raw talent, even though he's 1,000 yards. And congrats to KB on that 1,000 yards last week. During that last game against Atlanta. But we really need to draft somebody who's got good hands that can, get in the end zone for us. That, or we need to do a better job at pushing the front four of any team in the zone to get Tolbert and them in there for that touchdown. We need to do something. We can't go this weekend without a touchdown or red zone touchdown too, because Seattle will kill us.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one who hated when we throw a straight jump ball for Kelvin. I hate when we do that. I rather he actually run a real route. Like I think if you run when we've ran in the red zone with slant passes or an out route, he has a better shot at that than to straight up out jump somebody.
That's sad.
I mean, I'm just like even what game was that he ran a slant route? The Cincinnati game where he runs across the middle, he takes that big hit from the linebacker, but he holds on to it because he uses his body better on that type of play as far as shielding the ball from a defender rather than a jump ball. It's like nobody taught him how to jump the right way for his height.
Why does Benjamin always?
He's like the only black dude in the world that can't jump.
He can jump, but he doesn't know how to jump. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody need to get him on a basketball court so he can work on rebounding. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't know how to get his. He tries to straight. I don't know how to describe it.
What? And then Sunshine would go out there and school him in basketball.
I think you need to teach him more of kind of blocking somebody out, more so using his body instead of trying to straight use his vertical, because he's not 5'11".
And he doesn't really jump that high. He comes off the ground like this much.
He jumped pretty high when he mossed Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas, though.
He's going to be critical for this game in Seattle. I think that he's probably the most important person on the offense other than Jonathan Stewart and Cam Newton when it comes to the Seattle game, because that secondary, let's just say this, Kotry and Burson's Sunshine are not going to be any problems for that secondary. So you better hope that Kelvin Benjamin is just that big of a man that it don't matter how good Richard Sherman is, is that maybe Cam can just work it in there.
I mean, he's proved he can catch it on anybody when he has his hands right. He had that pass on Sherman. He even, I mean, he's caught passes. He caught a couple passes on Patrick Peterson. He caught passes even though it was a preseason, but he was catching passes on Revis. So he has that potential. Now whether he's going to do it, but I don't know if he's the biggest part. Just because I think Cam Chancellor can't handle Greg Olsen at all as far as keeping up with him in route running. I don't think Cam Chancellor has no chance. Now, if they put Earl Thomas on him, hey, maybe. But that's taking somebody from the middle of the field. I don't think Cam Chancellor can guard Greg Olsen one-on-one. And I'm not even sure Bobby Wagner can do it by himself.
You know, when I look at this Panthers team right now, though, man, I see a defense that's already dominant and physical. It's already built up to a point where they can keep the team in any fight against any team in the NFL. But I look at our offensive side of the ball, man, and I feel bad for Cam Newton. You know, I really do, because I know I said last time, the Carolina Panthers have not been kind to Cam Newton. We've not put him in a position to be successful. We need to go big on the offensive line. We need to shore that up, and we need to get him some toys, man. We need to give that boy something to play with, man. And we do that, we're going to be dangerous.
That's what I've been saying about Cam since we drafted him. I say Cam does the most out of all the young quarterbacks with the least amount of weapons. And a lot of people knock me for that, but if you say if he'd went to San Francisco, you give him Anquan Bolden, Crabtree, Vernon Davis, Stevie Johnson, and a running game with Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde, they would have a Super Bowl.
What used to be the best line in the NFL?
Yeah, they would have a Super Bowl by now. If you would have gave him, say, Atlanta, you give him Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Tony Gonzalez, you would have a ring. Now, if you put him in Washington with Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon and Alfred Morris, you would have success.
And
go ahead, Alan.
Oh, sorry about that. But just to comment on that, I truly believe, with the cap starting to open up for Dave Gentleman for the offseason in the next year or two. First off, he needs to really shore up Cam Newton. What kind of contract they'll give him depending on how he's playing, and I don't think Dave Gentleman's doing it on purpose to make him play the way he is. Not giving them toys, I think, it's because we're restricted to what we can afford to get, put out there, as far as money-wise. But I think once as this cap opens up, that we will start to be able to afford to go out there. And I know that Dave Gentleman not going to go out there and pay $50 million for a big-time receiver, but I'm sure he's going to go out there and get Cam a good receiver out there, if it's worth like an Antonio Brown type player, he becomes available in free agency. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams that will go after a guy like that. But if Dave Gentleman has that money, he should go after him, get him in here, and see what he can do. I mean, Cam's got to have the toys. If you don't, then you're wasting his talent and his time on this team when he can go and do it somewhere else. We love Cam that much, but you're wasting talent right there. If we don't get him the protection and get him the toys, what good having a good quarterback like Cam when you don't give him the things to work with. I mean, like you said, if you went to these other teams like the 49ers, the Falcons, he probably would have a ring or two right now. In the last 4 years with all that talent. Yeah, we know Dave Gentleman is a defensive type scout and guy that came from Giants, and that's how they built their team around Eli and stuff like that. But, Cam needs the weapons. We got the defense, and now we need the weapons on offense to help Cam out. And he really needs it bad. If don't, you're going to probably lose him to free agency if he doesn't want to resign or take a long-term contract. He's going to ask too much, and he's going to just get down. We need to do it now and not tomorrow.
But if you want to get that big play receiver, that's going to make a major difference. Like say, who's about to be a free agent? Randall Cobb. That means you're convincing Cam that hey, we're going to get you the best weapons we can get you right now, but you have to wait to get that new contract another year, and see if he's.
Randall Cobb might. I think the more I hear his name, the more I like it. Is that he would fill two important roles on the team, He would play. He could be the answer to special teams right there, and he does. He's the deep threat receiver that you need. And so you got Kelvin Benjamin there, and I don't think he's as expensive as. And this might have been you, Money, that was telling me this. Is that he's not going to command that top dollar that we just expect every free agent to these days.
I think what a lot of people are going to say about that is because he's with Aaron Rodgers and that system is his stats inflated because of that. Like if you put Cobb in another offense, does he have over 10 touchdowns? I think that's what a lot of people are going to say because him and Jordy both have over 1,000 yards and they both have over 10 touchdowns.
Same thing. Both small.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
As far as the people who think we're going to get Dez, I don't believe in that. First of all, I don't think Dallas is going to let Dez get away. And second of all, I just don't think we would have the chance with as big of a personality guy and a guy who has had a little bit of trouble in his past with Dez Bryant. So I don't see that. But if we want to go for that big name, which I don't know if we're going to do because, Jerry Richardson is our owner, I think Cobb would probably be that guy.
I think you're right. And I think he would fit in nicely. I think he comes from a good system that's respected. Like, there's no trouble surrounding his name. And he's not going to command a lot of money. And we can't afford Dez Bryant. Let's just go ahead and be honest about it. Because we're going to have to pay Cam. And if we don't pay Cam, then shame on us. And then guess what we got to do the next year? We got to pay Luke. Yeah. And Luke Kuechly, he's the guy that we need to be thinking about keeping more than anybody. I mean, and I hate to say that, my question is this, if you had the choice, you did not have a choice, you could not keep both, who do you keep, Luke or Cam?
I say Cam. I mean, I think personally it would be Luke because Luke is he is the boss man of the team. We want to keep that defense in order. I mean, how often you come across a middle linebacker with that kind of type of play, that type of leadership and stuff like that? You don't see many guys like that coming into your team all the time. It's very hard. It takes years to develop them. And Luke came out of college. He started playing just well right from the start. And that's rare for that to happen. And I think that, I'd rather keep Luke than we could always, it's up to draft a quarterback, and it's also a quarterback's hard to really develop as well, because we've seen it. Jack tried it, we've seen the Jets try it, and it failed. But at the end of the day, your defense is just as important as your offense as well.
It's just going to be crazy. We're going to have $38 million a year locked up in a quarterback and a middle linebacker.
I think Luke. The thing about that might be a little bit easier to sign with Luke is I think Luke would give us a hometown discount before Cam would, though.
I don't think he should.
I'd agree with you on that, man, because like I said earlier,
I don't think he will
win games. I don't think it has anything to do with money when it comes to Cam. I think if it came down to it, I don't think Cam really would care that much about the money, honestly. He just wants to win games. But if we don't show that we're going to build our offense for him, if we don't show that we've got confidence in him, he's going to walk, man.
I think Luke, if you just asked him to do it, he would do it. But with Cam, you would have to give him some kind of reasoning. Like, I think you have to say, Cam, hey, we want to get you this left tackle. We want to get you this wide receivers that you've been thinking about getting. Let's go out there and get them. With Luke, I think if Luke's that type of guy, hey, Luke, can I borrow $1? He's just going to give it to you. He's not going to ask why. He's not going to ask you what you need the money for. I just don't think he's that type of dude.
And, as I've been, I was pointing out as far as with the players and who is going back to that, who would ask for the contracts and stuff every year. This is one of the reasons why a lot of teams cannot build nowadays, because you got so many players, and these few players on the team that would be so gritty, wanting a $100 million contract, not caring about the money or wins, more the money than the wins and stuff like that. And you get those few players that take up about 50-60% of your cap and stuff. It's just like you can't afford the players to put around them. And And like I said, if you put things around Cam, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to, not take a big contract, maybe a 6-year, $80 million, $50 million guaranteed or something like that. And that's the same with Keith. But a lot of teams, a lot of players on big star players, in the first contract, they want to kill a team on big contracts because they're so good and they think they deserve it. But there's people out there, players who are willing to take less if they know they're going to have a winning team. We've seen that out of Tom Brady. Tom Brady giving up some money in his past. I mean, not a lot, but enough to keep players on that team in the past. As far as I remember, I could be wrong, but I remember thinking he did that for his team to take a cut in the paycheck, to keep players around.
Took another one, man. Tom Brady basically ain't even getting paid. He might as well just. That dude, and speaking on him, I know he's not a Panther, man, but I've tried really hard, as many Panther fans hate Tom Brady.
Come in. No, wait. Let me stop you. If you about to come in here with that Tom Brady love.
Yeah, man. But, no, T-Money, you look at what he's doing for his team, man. Like, just giving him that money. Tom Brady's about done. He's about done, and he's trying to put his team in a position where they can have talent. That way he can just see his way out, and they'll be in a good position. He's just a good-hearted guy when I look at it like that. But, going back to, like, how much we're going to pay Cam and should we pay Cam, and I don't know, man. Like, Luke Kuechly, he's a middle linebacker. Yes, he's very good. He's, best one in the league. But who else could we look to as a quarterback right now? Our defense, I think, is strong enough where we could put somebody else in there as middle linebacker, and I think we could be okay. But if we lost a quarterback, I don't know, man.
Where else are you going to find a 6'6", 250-pound franchise quarterback?
Exactly. You're not going to find that, man. Those don't grow on trees. Hell, they don't grow that often. That guy is a freak of nature. He wasn't supposed to. They're not supposed to be built that way. This guy has taken hits that would end many seasons for many quarterbacks, possibly even careers. And he sells out every game, man.
I agree with that. I think Luke would be a little bit easier. You could throw in a veteran linebacker in Luke's spot, and maybe our defense isn't number 2, but I think it could still be a pretty good defense.
I don't know. I think he's like Ray Lewis good, but just to let y'all know that Tom Brady is the 17th highest paid quarterback. That's crazy.
Well, that's just because he took that pay cut just now to take the re-sign Revis, I think.
Yeah, you're talking he gets 33 guaranteed. Not like they're gonna cut him, but interesting comparison there. But we got to talk about Seattle some tonight.
Yeah. What do you? I guess the easiest thing to start out with is what do y'all think would be the keys to beating Seattle?
I think it goes back to, like we said earlier, it's going to be one that's going to have to be the running game. They're going to have to call a lot of running plays against Seattle's defense. We're going to have to grind it out, wear them down. And if Shula goes straight to the passing and stuff, then Cam is going to have a rough night. And I believe that our defense is really going to have to step up and contain Wilson in the pocket and not let him run around. We all know he's pretty much a small magician in most of these teams. He can escape the pocket with no trouble, and he knows how to dictate it when he got to do it and when he don't have to do it. He will get away from us if we're not careful. And once he does that, our secondary is in trouble. No matter how good our secondary is. Once Wilson escapes that pocket and has the time to throw, he's going to run it, or he's going to have buy time for his receivers to get up, and that's the end of our chances of trying to stop him. So, main keys, run the ball, and 2, our defense needs to contain Wilson in that pocket, and our secondary needs to play very good, and we need to stop Marshall Lynch from beating us to a pulp in that run game.
See, I'm actually the opposite of what most people are thinking as far as that first drive. I want to come out, bang, no huddle, moving down the field and score that touchdown and take that crowd out of the game from the first time we get the ball.
I'm with you, T-Money. That's essential, man. That team, they live and breathe by the feeling in their stadium, man. You gotta take the 12th man out. You gotta just take them out. We need to
In
come out
fact,
there, be aggressive, and just score and just
playing
shut that crowd down.
playing Seattle, what would be the best move for me was if we win the toss, kick the ball, get a 3-and-out, or pretty much keep them on their side of the field, have them punt the ball, we go down the field, right down and score a touchdown and take all the air out that stadium. I don't think it's going to affect us as much as other teams, mainly because we're not that complex of an offense. No matter how loud the crowd is, when we go to hand the ball off to Jonathan Stewart, I don't think that's going to affect the handoff. It's not like I think it affects teams like the Saints or Broncos or something more than that because they're doing a whole lot of audibles at the line of scrimmage, doing a whole lot of pass protection changes and this, that, and the other. For a simple offense, I don't think it's going to affect us that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, man, because I don't really think this team is really that phased on being on the road, man. I think they like being on the road, to be honest with you, man, because I mean, you got to think like I said earlier, these guys are human beings. They see all the shit talk that everybody puts out there. They know that everybody's already counted them out before they even get to the stadium, before they even check into the hotel. They know that the Carolina Panthers have already been called out, basically just eliminated from any possibility of winning. And I think they feed on that, man. And I really do. I think they feed on that. They come together as a unit. I've never been a fan of another team, so I can't really say that every team is the way our team is. But when I look at our Carolina Panthers, it looks more like a family than a football team, really. The way these guys come together. I mean, we got so many rookies that are playing big-time roles on this team. It's a rebuilding team. And these guys are no names that people don't even – half the time, the announcers can't even pronounce Starr's last name. And, like, this is –
neither can I, though, in fairness. Latuile.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, what I'm saying is these guys aren't really well known, man. You're like, we don't have a whole lot of big names, and that's fine because these guys play together. They play for each other, and they play for their head coach.
You want to know what we need to do to win this game? There's two things. Number one, we got to score touchdowns. That's their offense can be stopped and it can be slowed down. You slow down Marshawn Lynch, and if you look, they almost lost. They beat the Rams 20-6, but really that game was 6-0 till the fourth quarter. So you can go ahead and say the Carolina Panthers are going to do the same thing, is that this is going to be a low-scoring game, you would think, as long as nobody gives up any big plays on special teams or something like that or doesn't make a terrible mistake. These defenses are going to come ready to play. But the last game they lost was in Kansas City, the Seattle Seahawks. And so it might help if somehow we could get Jamal Charles to dress instead of D'Angelo Williams, because Jamal Charles is what he busted a 47-yard run. And you know what they did is this is what the Kansas City – look, the Chiefs beat the Seattle Seahawks, and Alex Smith threw 108 yards and no touchdowns, but they scored 2 rushing touchdowns. So you just have to score touchdowns early on them, and then if you force them into a passing scenario – like you said, is that if you can score early and then you can reduce the pain that Marshawn Lynch can inflict on you, you've kind of made them one-dimensional in a different way.
Exactly.
The Panthers have already showed that they do an excellent job at stopping those big running backs. I think it's those small, shifty running backs, them fast running backs that we seem to have a problem with. Marshawn Lynch is in the league. We can stop them boys. We can stop, and we've held Marshawn Lynch to some pretty good yards, man. So I feel very confident going into this game.
Because if you look at the first game, Jonathan Stewart actually outran Marshawn Lynch as far as yards, and even Russell only had 30-something yards. That's what's the biggest thing to me. On those third downs, we have to be able to stop Russell Wilson from scrambling for first downs, because that can take all the air out of your defense, and we know because we have Cam do the same thing. Cam on a 3rd and 9 play, he scrambles, he beats that defender, and now that defense is like, wow. Like, we really played our best defense, and this guy still got a first down on us. So I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, that happened to us in this game, Money, against Arizona, when we got a defensive penalty. I forget what it was, but we were
Charles Johnson got that roughing the passer.
Yeah, and so it's that you can't make those mistakes prove critical on this team.
I think I want a big game of some internal pass rush. I want the best game our defensive line can give us, man, because if Russell Wilson tries to run that bootleg offense on us, tries to get out there and throw the ball, if we have somebody waiting out there, if we got Charles Johnson to lay into his ass, I think we got the game in the bag, man. I want a big game out of our defensive line.
On third down, I would like to see at least parts of the game, either Luke or Thomas Davis spying on Russell Wilson.
And that's
Davis put him on him.
Yeah, that's what about number say that we do. Yeah, we need to always keep a spy. Whether it's Kuechly or Thomas Davis, but I believe Thomas Davis, since he's probably got the best speed of the two, is to keep him spying on Wilson most of all the games, so that he don't run out there and run for 10, 20 yards on us. Because if we don't, we're gonna have a long night ahead of us. That's for sure.
Because I don't think Lynch is going to do that much damage. The only main thing I'm worried about in their run game, like I said, is on those 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, that we should be getting off the field. We play perfect coverage, and then Russell scrambles against the first down. Other than that, their passing game is not that good. They average barely over 200 passing yards a game.
And our team, here's another thing, is our team is much improved since the last time we played them. Is that, yes, the Seattle Seahawks are on a hot streak. Yes, they've won 6 straight. They've also played some pretty crappy teams in that mix as well. So let's let them off the hook, not crown them just yet. But also, Cam Newton, you're talking about week 8 when Cam Newton played them last. He was you cannot say he's the same Cam Newton that he's been in the last 2 weeks. He was in much worse condition with the ankle then. Then you've got Jonathan Stewart, who was dealing with a knee. He still rushed well against them, but our secondary is a changed secondary, and our offensive line is a changed offensive line since then. I think our chances are much better than people. I hate to say, but I feel better about this game than I would if we went to Green Bay.
Yeah, and Jeremy Ingo on Carolina Huddle, he made a list of the players that we had played in that game who rarely play or who's on the IR or who we put off the team now. Nate Chandler played 36 snaps. Fernando Velasco played 62 snaps. The Canadian played 31 snaps. Jason Avant played 33 snaps. Darren Reeves played. Obi-Wan played. Kaysen played. Deku played. And Dockery played. So that's a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys who was touching the field for at least pretty much 30 snaps that game that's not playing right now.
Yeah, that helps a lot. It helps a lot. I think that I would not be surprised if we went in there and punched them right in their mouth.
And again, I want to do that from the beginning. Like I said, the keys to the game is jumping on them early, stopping them on 3rd down to get off the field, and no turnovers.
And get in the damn end zone. We didn't score a touchdown. We didn't score a touchdown against them at this past game, and I think we only scored maybe 1 in the last 2 games before that.
You need to keep giving Cam Newton the green light to audible, man. I mean, some of those plays that he was running that they were talking about, I've never seen the Carolina Panthers run those. A lot of and it made me nervous at times. But I mean, I went back and I looked at Cam Newton because I don't really follow college football. I went back, I went and looked at the Auburn, offense, and yeah, I mean, the announcers were right. That was more like his Auburn offense, and it made me a little bit nervous because I'm like, man, what if the running back just misses that just by a second and somebody grabs it? But I mean, they need to keep giving him the option. He's in his 4th year, man. You gotta trust your franchise quarterback. Let him go out there, look at the defense, and change the plays around. I think like I said earlier, this is gonna be different. This is gonna be return to form for Cam Newton. He got his playoff win. He's gonna have his confidence up. He's gonna be a different guy out there. I really believe that we're gonna be successful on offense, and I think their game plan is probably gonna be the same as T-Money's. I think I'm almost 100% certain that Ron Rivera has already addressed the 12th man effect, because it does work for Seattle. If we can go in there, we can punch them in the mouth early. I think we're going to be all right, man. I am going to say I'm going to go ahead and duck out on this, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys. I love getting on here. I live in New Mexico, man.
Well, we about to end the show. I'm trying to end the show now. I was trying to do score predictions and then get on out of here. So if you can wait for that, then
yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with you then. What do you think the score is going to be, and who wins?
I mean, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to say 14-6 Carolina.
All right, Alan, go ahead.
My prediction is going to be probably 14-10. Final score Carolina 14-10.
Tony.
I like 17. Man, I almost wanted to pick 16-10. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick 16-10 and keep it within 6. Carolina.
Well, me. Y'all know I'm straight facts, and that's what I do is make bold predictions. And I would say, Tony, I'm probably right more than I'm wrong most of the time.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead with 21-10. I think we can put 21 up on that defense. I honestly think we can. I mean, the key to it is scoring in the red zone, because for the past, since we've been on this winning streak, and even a couple games before that, we have been able to move the ball no matter who the defense was. The question is, when we get down to the field, can we avoid those false starts? Can we avoid those holding penalties? Can we avoid those Cam getting a sack? Now we're, let alone not in touchdown range anymore, we're out of field goal range. If we can avoid that, I honestly think we can put up 21 on that defense. Whether it's, defense getting turnovers and now we're near the end zone and we just happen to score. But I honestly think we can score 20 to 21 points on that defense. I know the TTC boys is going to be going crazy.
The way our defense is playing right now, I don't see them scoring a touchdown, man. They're going to go down the field. They're going to get 2 field goals. That's it. That's all we're going to give them.
I like that prediction. I like that. It's the playoffs, though. Somebody's got to score a touchdown.
I'm gonna say, like I said, 21-10. That's
they did
21-10. That's giving them 21-10. That's giving them one big play that Russell or Marshawn makes, and they get down the field, or you know what I'm saying. That's giving them one big play that they get down the field and they score. So 21-10. Straight facts with Mr. T Money. You heard it here first. Let's go ahead and get the outros done so we can get up out of here. Alan, go ahead and start us off, man.
This is good being on the show. This Panther Beast _OS on Twitter. Any way you want to follow me or contact me, I'll be on there anytime.
And we noticed this earlier. Y'all know I shoot straight what I'm feeling. Alan, I'm going to ask you, as my boy, why do you have them handcuffs hanging up on the thing behind you?
Man, my uncle used to be a officer in South Carolina. I got a family member who used to be a police officer. I just do.
He keeps somebody locked up in his closet. Yeah.
They ain't nothing like that now. They ain't nothing like
You know you my boy, man. Y'all know I speak what I see, how I feel, man. That's why I'm straight facts.
Yeah.
Kevin, go ahead, man.
Panther family, TTC family, it's been a pleasure, man. I always like getting on here and talking to Panther fans, man. Y'all make sure you check me out on YouTube. Next year, next season, man, I should be back making more vids. I also want to do some more highlight videos. I did a few of those. I want to get back into doing that. But thanks again for having me on the show, T Money. You have a good night, brother.
Yeah, you too. Man, you need to come back, TTC, man. You playing around, bro.
Man, them biology classes had me shook, man.
Man, Kevin, I was proud of Kevin this year. Last year, Kevin was making laid-back videos, just talking straight football. This year, Kevin comes out with the fire at the beginning of the year. He's fired up. He's going off on everybody. I was like, yo, this is the year. This is the year my boy Kevin. He's going to get it done. And then he stops making videos. I was like, come on, man.
Man, my grades was dipping, man, so I had to make a sacrifice. But I picked some really good classes for next semester, ones that I'm already really good at, ones that I'm interested in. That's gonna make the studying easier. I'm gonna be back on that TTC, and I'm gonna fuck somebody's shit up. Y'all have a good night.
You too, man. Tony, the professor, go ahead, man.
All right, this is Tony Dunn from CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. But tomorrow night, guys, 10 o'clock, the C3 podcast. We want more, and we are going to have Ben Wickere, a.k.a. Sticky Wiki, come on and give us a guest interview and talk about his transition to the NFL and the Carolina Panthers going to Seattle. You guys don't want to miss this. It's going to be a phenomenal night.
All right, and as far as me, first of all, I'm going to address Tony. How many times I got to tell you his nickname is Big Play Benet?
He likes that one too, but he likes Sticky Wiki. Don't worry. We'll ask him.
But nah, anybody, I'm gonna definitely try to check it out. But for anybody else who doesn't know, I think I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be back on Big Q's Black and Blue podcast tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, featuring me, Big Q, and the voice of Panther Nation, aka Voice 2525. Woof. Shout out to my boy Voice. But this your boy, MrTMoney1993, aka Straight Facts, because that's all I speak on this YouTube shit, and I'm out, man. That's the show.